Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michelle Murray with Turnkey Technologies. Thank you for joining us today for the Save Your AP Department Time and Effort with the Mekorma Payment Hub webinar. That's quite a mouthful. We appreciate you taking time this afternoon. Just a brief overview for those who aren't as familiar with Turnkey Technologies. We were founded in 1994 by Chris Garradini. We are an owner-led organization still. We're a Microsoft Gold Partner, and we represent the entire Dynamics portfolio for ERP and CRM solutions, also things like Power BI. And we're based out of St. Louis. Most everyone is here, including our support team. All of our support is U.S.-based. And we do have an expanding footprint with teams, growing teams, in Chicago, Atlanta, and Denver. And we really want to take a moment and thank Mekorma for putting on this presentation today. We have Mekorma as one of our valued ISV partners. We have several of these strategic partnerships that are in place to help us really extend the capabilities of the Dynamics platform and really add value in certain ways to increase efficiency and just give better insights into some of the processes that are going on within these systems. So with that, I'd like to introduce Angel Bloom with Mekorma, and let me go ahead and make you the presenter, and we'll go from there.
All right, thank you. Let me try to share the proper screen. All right, now you should be seeing me, hopefully. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I'm Angel, the director of sales here at Mekorma. And today we want to talk to you a little bit about what Mekorma, the changes in Mekorma, and what we have to offer. So we're here to ease your payment process in a Dynamics GP. And what I'm going to be showing you today is with Mekorma's Payment Hub, we now have added the action board, which can automate your payment process all the way through, from creating payment batches through to generating EFT and SafePay files. And that's across company databases or across checkbooks that you have in one company. And then I'm going to talk to you about our secure approval workflow process and how we've enhanced that with our task-based security and also added Power Approvals, which is an app that lives on your phone, tablet, or on a web browser where your approvers can actually review payments right there from wherever they are. So those are the three main things I'm going to be showing and talking to you about today. To get a little bit more information about that. So over the 25 plus years that Mekorma has been in business and dealing with the payment side of things, we came to realize that handling payment batches is quite a process. There's lots of Dynamics GP screens that you have to go into, from just creating those payment batches and then all the way to generating those extra files. So what we've done is we've added the Mekorma Action Board to the Payment Hub. So what that means, if you're a current client, you actually have access to this functionality today. It may require an upgrade to your software and some configuration, but that is available to you at no additional cost than what you're currently paying for your yearly enhancement renewal. And for new clients, it comes with the Payment Hub. So you'll have access to this as well. And like I was saying, we can help you build those payments, process everything from one screen, posting everything, and then generating SafePay and EFT files for your bank. And these two steps, we give you the ability to completely automate it when you're actually processing those batches, or having these additional screens where your manager or someone can go in and take care of it. We've enhanced our security features in Mekorma, so our task-based security now gives you new ways to set up your approval process for your payment batches and add those electronic signatures to the process as well. And then, as I mentioned, Power Approvals, the new app for several years now, we've been asked if there's a way for this approval process to happen outside of Dynamics GP, and now it is possible. So I'll be showing you the payment app as well. Next, I'm going to turn it over to our CEO and owner of the company, Ora Goldman, just to talk to you for a couple of minutes about what our newest venture coming up is. We're offering outsourced vendor payments, and she's got some things that she'd like to share with you.
Hi, everybody. This is Ora. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Angel. So currently we've developed an integration with an outsourced payment provider called AvidXchange, and they're a reputable invoicing and payment provider, and they offer outsourced check printing, ACH, and virtual credit card payments. We're also setting up a relationship with another e-payment vendor that's going to also allow for the ability of foreign currency payments, and we'll be announcing that vendor shortly. And in both cases, what we're going to be offering, the reason to add something like this is it will eliminate the hassle of your paper checks while still letting you print locally in the Mekorma Payment Hub if you have exceptional situations that you need. But on a normal recurring basis, you'll be able to eliminate the need to print full stamp and mail checks. You'll still get to fully approve your payment with the task-based security workflow and power approvals that Angel's about to show you prior to authorizing them to be paid. So that'll still be built into the Payment Hub prior to connecting with the outsourced provider. You'll still have the full benefit of the Payment Hub Action Board that Angel will be showing you. And not only will you eliminate all those manual procedures with checks, but you'll eliminate the need to generate and upload EFT and SafePay files, because all of that is handled when you outsource. You send them out as one batch. And basically, the outsourced provider has a full service team that pays on your behalf, and they also stay in touch with your vendors to find out how they prefer to be paid. Dynamics GP remains the system of record for your payments, so you don't have to worry about synchronization issues pertaining to voided payments or anything, because you do it all from Dynamics. And reconciliation is a breeze, because every payment gets treated as a check, and it gets funded when you convey the payment instructions, and so they all clear right away, and you can easily reconcile. So as you can see, the potential is enormous for making your AP department more efficient. We want to help with that, and that is that. Oh, one more thing is that you can also get some benefit for fee reductions when you use this kind of service, because any vendors that choose to be paid by a credit card actually can give you back some rebates on that. So that can actually reduce your, or make your ROI even bigger on implementing something like this. So we're very excited about it, and just let us know if you want to talk about it more.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Ora. That is very exciting. We are all happy here at Mekorma that we're going to be able to offer that very soon. All right, so I am going to jump right into the demo. And here I have Dynamics GP open, two different instances of it actually. So I have Ryan, he's my AP clerk here today, and Ryan would be the one to go in and create payment batches and then process them through once they've been approved. With Mekorma, everything is fully integrated into Dynamics GP, so today you can use any of the normal payment windows you would, going in and creating your payment batches, printing, posting, all of that, and that still will always be available to you. But what Mekorma has given you is one unified action board, and that's what I'm going to show today. So your first step would be generating those batches and creating them, and as you're doing that today, probably an edit payment batch or select checks, we can set up a process for you that meets your needs. So for me, I have one called end of week, and basically every week me, Ryan, the AP clerk, comes in here, and the way I'm building my payment batches is I've set up criteria for all of my utility vendors based on a class ID, and I've saved that. So those all my utility vendors are being saved there as one batch. I've assigned a checkbook, and I've also set that for EFT because I have them all set up as EFT. I'm paying some of my employees out of payables, and so I have a batch that saved my criteria for how I want those payments to be pulled in. And then everything else, I want anything due in 7 days. So if you are familiar with Select Checks, you know you go in there every single week and you put in all of that criteria and you're selecting your date range and having it create a batch. But with Mekorma's build ID, you're actually having it save the criteria that you're needing. And for the due dates, we can actually calculate it every time you run this build ID. So it's looking at today's date for me, and it's saying what is 7 days out, and it will automatically calculate that. I also don't have to worry about making sure what vendors I put into a check batch or an EFT batch, because I can assign a build ID for my company, both one for checks and one for EFTs. So when we're going through the process of building batches for you, we'll look at which ones are set up in Dynamics GP as EFT vendors, and it will know to create the proper batch for me. So that's why down here you see on the 7-day batch, I actually have 2 across my 3 different company databases. And that's another important thing to note, that I will be going across 3 different company databases to create these batches for myself with one processing click. So I'm going to go ahead and hit process, and we are just driving Dynamics GP windows here. So it's actually pulling up the batch creation window, filling in that criteria for me, what checkbook I want it to use, what kind of batch to create, and it will log in and out of the 3 different companies that I have listed here, and then come back to me with a report on what happened. Now, since we are just driving Dynamics GP screens and we are following all of Dynamics GP rules and tasks and all of those things, the person running this needs to have access to all of those companies and all of those screens. So we're, again, going to obey all of Dynamics GP rules as far as what someone has access to and what they're allowed to do. These process IDs can be set up in lots of different ways. If you have a very large AP department that you've got broken up between different AP clerks, you can have a process specific to that clerk. Maybe they're only handling certain companies, and so you want them to be creating batches in only certain companies and someone else in another company. Or maybe you're processing batches on different days with different criteria. The build IDs you create can go across your different companies, be applied to any of your checkbooks, and the process IDs are the same. You know, you have a lot of flexibility on however you want your process to be set up. So if anybody does have any questions while I go, you're more than welcome to put any information you'd like me to answer in the chat, and then we can answer those questions throughout the demo. And this is almost done. It's going to log me back into the original company that I was logged into. I could have started this in any 3 of my companies, but it'll log me back into the one I was originally in. And here we go. It's showing that I went across my 3 different company databases. It generated 4 batches in each, and that took about 1 minute and 56 seconds. So while this was running, I could have been doing anything in any other program on my computer. Could have been in Excel or out on the internet, and then when this report comes up, it lets me know what happened, and I'm ready to move to the next step. The next step would be actually the approval process. There's a couple things to note about that. These batches that were created for me are completely editable. as long as the approval hasn't already been submitted. And you have some options on how you might want to do that. So under the options window, you can actually have it request approval right when the batch is created. And that way it actually locks the batch down and the approver then has the ability to review, which I'll show you here in a second. If you do want to do some editing to those batches before the request is made, you can certainly do that with any of the GP windows where you can edit payment batches and do the editing that you need. We have an additional window on those screens where you can request approval right from there, or we give you a unified place where you can go for each company. So there's some options there. While I'm on this window, I'll also tell you that for the EFTs and SafePay, like I talked about earlier, you can have it process things all the way through. So if your AP clerk is the one that's actually handling the generation of SafePay and EFT files, then this automation would take everything all the way through to those bank files. If you have a separation of duties, I'll show you in a little bit how that would be handled. All right, so we've got those batches created. We'll move over here to process checks and EFTs so you can see them. And I have the workflow turned on in my Complete Solutions company. So we've got some triangles going on here. That's because it's telling me that the request has been submitted. So we're going to go ahead and take care of those now. First, I'm going to show you what it looks like in Dynamics GP, which is the workflow that comes with the Payment Hub. This is Debbie. She's my approver. And Debbie would have gotten an email letting her know what she needs to review and approve. And she'll come to the approval window here. And the way it's laid out, it's showing you all the payees across the batches that are listed for this particular company. So in Complete Solutions, we created these 4 batches. And I can drill into the batches by highlighting one, going up here to payment vouchers and double clicking. And we get to this window that looks very similar to edit payment batch. But all it contains is anything that was put in this particular payment batch 00006. So two vendors were entered here with vouchers. If I click on AT&T or Verizon, it's showing me the exact vouchers that make up the payments. Your approver has a couple of things that they can do at this point. One, they can actually drill in to the particular voucher. If you are already using Microsoft Doc Attach and you have attached something here, you would be able to view that invoice. If you're using a third-party document management system, several of them already do have integrations to this window, where under an additionals, you would be able to access the invoice. If you're using one that doesn't, it is something that we could customize for you through our professional services department at a cost, of course, but it is possible to have those images added here. And then once you've done the review process, you have options to reject any of these payments. So inside of GP, we give you 2 options. One is you can actually reject a specific voucher. So if I did not want this $1,200 to be paid, I could simply uncheck this box here, and it would only remove this voucher and reduce the amount of the full payment. Alternatively, I can just reject the full payment amount by unchecking it here. You get the same box in either condition where you can type a very detailed reason back to the AP clerk that processed the payments. So this message would go back to Ryan. I'm just going to type reject for now so you can see that we're going to add a message and we're going to remove that payment. So AT&T is gone completely from batch 00006. And we can go ahead and click OK and refresh out here. And now Verizon is the only one for that batch. And I can continue on down the line with my approval process here in Dynamics GP. But I'm going to switch over to Power Approvals. So this is an additional product that can be purchased through us. And this is what gives your approvers the ability to review payments outside of Dynamics GP. It is based off the Microsoft Power Apps platform, so it does require Microsoft licensing as well as the purchase from Mekorma. But this is a very similar list. It is the exact same list, just in a different order as you were seeing in Dynamics GP. And you can open each vendor's payments and see the vouchers that are attached. If there is a doc attachment, that will show up here as well. We'll get a little red paper clip here in just a second, where we'll be able to pull up that attachment right here. And again, this is something that they're going to be pulling up right on their phone, or they can do it from a web browser or their app. There we go. Sorry, that took a little bit of extra time with my internet. So here's the invoice that they'll be able to see right here on their phone. Again, completely integrated with Doc Attach. If you are using a third-party document management system, we don't currently integrate with anyone out of the box. We are looking at some integrations, though, to come down the pike, and so that would be an additional professional services add. All right. So going back out to the main page, you do have there's two key differences between your approval process in Dynamics GP and out here on the Power App. So one is we're giving you cross-company approvals out here on the app. So you can choose to see all companies or break it down by the individual companies. In GP, you do still have to, as an approver, log into each one of your company databases to review and approve. The other difference is in that approval and rejection. So I can also sort this and scroll everything up into batches. And if I wanted to go ahead once I've reviewed everything and approve, I can do that right from here. If I want to reject a specific payment, though, I do have to reject at the payment level. We're not going to be able to give the ability to actually reject a specific voucher like I did inside of Dynamics GP. So it would be the full payment amount for any one of your vendors that you would need to reject. And then once those are rejected and that message goes back, I'm going to go ahead and approve, goes back to your AP clerk, they can do whatever's needed to that voucher or payment and then put it back into a new batch later. All right, so while that goes, I'm going to come back in here into GP. We're going to move back over as Ryan. And it'll take just a couple minutes for this to come through, these triangles to disappear. And then we can move on to processing. Now, I also want to make sure that it's clear to everyone that you can use the action board interchangeable at any time with normal GP functionality. So if you're creating payment batches with select checks, those will show up here in the action board to be processed. If you want to process all of your batches through normal GP print window and then do all the rest of it by posting and then generating EFT and SafePay files right here, you can do that. So all of your batches will show up in either place for processing. You can see these two down here, especially this demo batch 1, that was a manually created batch that just hasn't been approved yet, but it was created with select checks and then it shows up here in this list. All right. Let me go ahead and re-display again. There we go. So those were my 4 batches. They're ready to go. I'm not going to go ahead and process everything just for time savings, but I do want to complete one all the way through. So I'm going to ask it to just take care of this one check batch. And again, if you have any questions and you'd like to put those in the chat, feel free to add any questions you have at any time. After every process that you run, it will give you a report. So this one would tell me that everything came off, that everything went to the printer properly when it's done. And then we would move on to actually posting that batch. We want to make sure with EFTs you can set it up to where it'll post automatically, but with those check batches we want to make sure everything comes off the printer properly. So that took this 28 seconds, and then if we move over to posting, we'll see it here. So we'll go ahead and process. That's going to give me the ability to show you our audit log capabilities and our check image archiving as the next step. If you don't have any batches that you need to generate EFT files or SafePay files, I'll show you the SafePay file window so you can see what that looks like. And we do have one SafePay file to generate. So if you do have that separation of duties where your managers are actually the ones generating these files, it's very easy for them to come in here. And again, if your AP process is working for you outside of the action board and you want to continue that, but still have your manager come here to generate the files in one place, they can do that. All right. So just to kind of give you a little bit of behind the scenes, if you're wondering about our security, automated signatures, anything like that, I want to show you and talk a little bit about our threshold IDs. So this is a setup screen, not something that your AP clerk would see or handle at all. But it handles the logic for how we set up who's going to approve and what signature logic to use. So this is an example of a company that has several different levels where any payments just under $1,000 don't actually need an approval for them, but they do have an automatic signature for Karen that's going to go on when they're printed. And then anything between $1,000 and $5,000, since we're fully integrated with Microsoft tasks and roles, we've set up some generic ones, but you can do your consultant can set up different ones, but we are using the Mekorma approval task level 1. So any approver that you want to have reviewing at that level would be given that task and role in their GP security setup, and then they would get the notifications to review those payments. And once they've approved, then we've got signature logic for Karen and Ken. And then above that level, we're actually having 2 different approval tasks. So someone at a level 2 has to review and approve, someone at a level 3 has to review and approve, and then they can be printed. And here I'm just showing you that you can have one automated signature and a blank line so that there still is a hand signature. Signature logic can be set up as default, or you can check a box here to say that we'll override the default signatures with the approver's signatures. So your signature file can be attached to your user in GP, and then when that person is actually approving, we'll use that file attached to their account or user login. I don't see any questions in the chat. So another thing to know about your threshold IDs is that these get assigned at the checkbook level. So if you have multiple checkbooks and a different approval process that you'd like for each one, you can set up multiple threshold IDs. You can have multiple threshold IDs across your different company databases, or you can just have one that applies to everything and assign it to all your checkbooks and all of your companies. Last but not least, I do want to show you our audit log. So we're tracking everything that's happening with your approval process and your payments. So this is the batch that we just got done processing. This report will tell you all of the payment numbers, all of the check numbers, see who approved it, and outside it was telling you who actually printed the checks and when. If you drill in, you're going to get our check image archiving, which is a complete image of the check that was printed. It does have a voided watermark. No MICR line will show, nor will a signature, but you do know who approved it. So with the logic that you've set up on your threshold ID, you'll know what signature was utilized. These images can actually be accessed from any place in Dynamics GP where you're pulling up a posted payment. And then we can also save it as an image outside of your Dynamics GP in a folder of your choice as a PDF. So those are the imaging options that we offer. All right. Well, that concludes the different things that I wanted to show you today. Happy to answer any questions you might have. If you have some questions about what I've shown you for the Payment Hub, Action Board, or Secure Approval Workflow, or if you actually have any questions for Aura about our upcoming outsourcing offerings, we have a little bit of a time where we're more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Well, Michelle, I'll turn it back over to you. If there's no questions, then thank you so much for letting us present today. I guess I will put up my PowerPoint for one more second and let you guys know that X80 is our current build release. We will be coming out with X81 here in just a couple weeks. So that will have some new enhancement features for power approvals and our workflow for rejections and printing capabilities. Please follow us on social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, for all the latest and greatest information about what we have to offer. And if you do want to reach out to me directly, feel free to. Here's my contact information. We're always happy to talk to you and work with Turnkey to help you get set up in the best way possible.
All right. Well, Angel, thank you so much for that presentation, and to Aura as well for letting us know what's coming down the pike as you continue to just expand and improve upon the Mekorma platform. Just wanted to wrap things up. We are at the end of our presentation, and certainly with the contact information for Angel, but we can also be found at turnkeytech.com, and we're happy to answer any questions, so please don't hesitate to get in touch. And again, this is Michelle Murray with Turnkey. Thank you so much for attending today. Take care.